Hey, this is Pipeline Audio. I'm going to try and show you the basics of AIX DSP's multiband gate. And I'm going to be using the tutorial project that's on the AIX DSP website that you can download for free. So anyway, I'm just going to put this on one of the toms and go from there. Let's see, let me just find a good spot where there's a tom and some cymbals. And this looks pretty good. Let's see. Okay. So if I were to pull the threshold all the way down, so you're just hearing the whole signal here. We got a input meter, output meter. The kind of the business end here is the three different bands. So ideally, what I'd be trying to do here is let the toms lows just ring out for as long as I want. You know, just the boom. You know, not that's not really going to get nasty if you let it go. The high end, on the other hand, there's probably going to be a cymbal popping up in a second, and it's just going to make some noise, especially if you really like those kind of hyped tom sounds, or if you're running it into a reverb, you end up with that weird cymbal spit right after the tom hit, and you kind of want that really short, or at least I usually do. And normally with the single band gate, you got to get the kind of the best of all worlds or the worst of all worlds, where it's going to be shorter than you'd really want it to ring out, but probably longer than you really want to put up with for that high-end spit. So first of all, I'm just going to divide these up into the three parts that I really want to worry about. And often I'll just mute the mid band. I'll usually have the overheads deal with that, but let's see what we got here. So I'm going to solo the low band. And that's all I really care about for lows. I mean, like I said, most of it's going to be in the overheads. Let me look at the highs. I want to get the hit. I want to really tell you about the attack and the stick. So but you can hear the cymbal in there too that you don't really want. But this is about where I want. This is actually pretty low, but sometimes the toms have like this little ring at the top that I kind of like to have, but I don't need it to last long at all. I might even put that in the mid band, but for here, I think I'm going to be okay here. So here we're listening to the full signal again. Here's the key listen. So this is what the detector is going to listen to. And if you're using this in real time and you can't have any latency, you're probably going to want this pretty wide. It just responds better to higher frequency signals, even though those are kind of the wrong things for it to hear. You can see with this tom, the frequency you could tell it to key off of is right here. And we can actually roll this high pass filter up there, and the mouse wheel will change the slope. So you can really narrow in on where that is. And I'm going to do the same thing with the highs. Okay, so now it's only really hitting on this particular low part, but there's a couple problems here. First of all, it takes a while for these low frequencies to build up. The hit has already hit before this low frequency really pushes, and this is why we do have a look ahead control here. This will open up the gate a little bit earlier than real time, than instantly. You can have it open a little bit earlier, and so I'm going to set this for a little bit, like 15. It can be a long time actually. I'm going to set it for like 15 milliseconds to look ahead. If I tick this off, you'd see that you could actually lose some of the stick on the high. The other thing is this is kind of blobby with this. So what we have here is a transient shaper just for the detector. This is just what the gate is listening to determine where the threshold control is seeing. And in this case, I'm going to turn the sustain down all the way. And this signal should be getting sharper. I can turn the attack up. So it's just going to boost this one signal here. Let me turn that off. It's more just a kind of a blobby signal without that. But here it's nice and clear. I'm going to take this out of key listen. I'm going to turn this threshold up until we are just getting on the tom. I'm not sure what that second thing is. Is that another tom or what's going on here? Or is that the same tom? It's a good question. Looks like it's the same tom or maybe even the kick, but either way. And I'm going to go back to soloing this low band. And in this case, you see the attack control, the hold control. So if I took away the hold, it'll start ducking, or it'll start turning back down right away. But, you know, I'm probably going to have the hold control on for a while. And in this case, I might just have the release kind of short, so it just doesn't sound unnatural, but it stops before that snare or kick or whatever's coming up. The tricky one's going to be this high. And like I said, watch this. If I pull this look ahead away, it's going to lose a lot of that high. So I'm going to turn up this band. So these three lines right here are the individual band volume controls. And these bars are for the frequency selection for the crossovers. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. So I'm going to turn that up. Now watch what happens if I put some look ahead in here. So we're getting a lot more of the stick hit with the added look ahead. And I'm really going to start this early. If you put the attack too low, of course on a gate it's going to click, but in this case it's not going to hurt. And I'm using no hold control here. I'm actually going to make this pretty short. Okay. So now I still get the smack of that hit. And if I were to put like a reverb or whatever, normally if you got here's your, let's say you just put the tom here, okay? And I'm going to put Audio Assault's Exciter on here. I mean, if I put some extreme setting on here, the tom just becomes an auxiliary cymbal mic, right? With multiband gate, I can make that high really short. Hype the highs insanely and still not worry. And I'm betting with all that low that I'm going, I could actually kind of make it kind of sub out. And like I say, I don't really need those mids. So I don't know if I want to turn them down or mute them. Let's see what it is with the overheads here. So now I can have those natural sounding overheads for the cymbals, but really hype the toms here. And I can make those lows longer. It's just not going to hurt anything. So let's just go. Just going to make it a little more natural. So you can have those long ringing lows without having those nasty highs come up. Here, I'm gonna hype it a little bit more. So it just sounds like a clean tom hit, almost like it's a sample. So the other things you want to be aware of on this plugin. Here's the threshold control. There's a hysteresis control you can select, and that's going to tell you how far above or below the threshold it is before it's going to trigger again. You most of the time won't want to mess with this. We're actually going to add some functionality to the hysteresis function in a little bit that's going to make it a little bit more useful for you. There's per band, there's a polarity switch. So you click these, it'll invert the polarity of that particular band. Or a master polarity switch for the whole plugin. a pre or post gate spectrum switch, so you can look at what it's doing. No big deal. Here's your presets and everything, your settings. That's about it. There is a sidechain control, so you would this thing does have another 2 inputs if you want to have something else open it up with the sidechain. And the sidechain has the same detector filtering, so if you were to choose a sidechain and then you went to key listen, you would you'd be able to completely tune what the sidechain does before it goes to the detector. So that's really it. We're gonna make a more comprehensive video walkthrough, but I think people were getting a little bit confused on this thing, so that should be okay for now. I'll see you guys later.